What if everything you have ever experienced is not based on reality? What if every memory, emotion, and physical law is part of a deeper system? At first, this sounds like science fiction, a story borrowed from films, games, and futuristic novels. But in recent years, this idea has escaped fiction. Some of the world's leading scientists and philosophers now take it seriously, not as belief, but as a question worth examining. This video explores why this idea is taken seriously at all. A follow-up will examine why many experts remain unconvinced. Because when modern science looks closely at reality, things begin to behave strangely. And the deeper we look, the more unfamiliar the universe becomes. The simulation hypothesis was formalized by philosopher Nick Bostrom. It begins with a simple but unsettling line of reasoning. If intelligent civilizations survive long enough, their computing power will grow exponentially. Eventually, they may be able to simulate entire worlds, not crude simulations, but fully conscious ones. These would include simulated minds experiencing simulated lives. If even one civilization reaches this stage, simulated realities would vastly outnumber base reality. Statistically, that creates a problem. If most conscious beings exist inside simulations, then any randomly chosen observer is more likely to be simulated than real. This idea became known as Bostrom's trilemma. And it does not claim we are in a simulation. It claims that if certain conditions are met, the odds become uncomfortable. If reality were simulated, it would not look fake. It would look optimized. Resources would be conserved. Detail would appear where it is observed. Limits would exist, not because reality ends, but because computation does. And interestingly, our universe does appear to have limits. There is a maximum speed, a smallest measurable unit of length, a smallest unit of time. To some, this resembles resolution limits, not proof, but an intriguing parallel. At the smallest scales, reality behaves in deeply counterintuitive ways. Particles exist in multiple states at once. They behave like waves until observed. Only when measured do they appear to choose a position. This is known as the observer effect. Some have asked whether this resembles rendering. In video games, environments load detail only when needed. In quantum physics, reality seems undefined until measured. This does not mean physics proves a simulation, but it raises an uncomfortable question. Why is it that reality resists existing independently of observation? The universe is balanced on a knife edge. If fundamental constants were slightly different, stars would never form. Atoms would collapse. Life would be impossible. This is known as the fine-tuning problem. One explanation is chance, another is the multiverse, and another is design. In a simulation, these constants would be parameters, values chosen to allow complexity to emerge. Again, this is not evidence, but it fits uncomfortably well with the model. Some scientists have proposed searching for the limits of reality itself. The highest energy cosmic rays may reveal a maximum resolution. Space-time appears smooth until it is examined closely. Then it becomes grainy, like pixels appearing when you zoom in too far. Others have suggested mathematical simplicity points to underlying code. The universe runs on equations that fit on a chalkboard. That elegance feels surprising. Why is it that reality should be so computationally friendly? Despite its intrigue, the simulation hypothesis faces serious criticism. There is no direct evidence. All observations can be explained by existing physics. Extra assumptions are unnecessary. Some argue this is philosophy, not science. A hypothesis that cannot be tested may not be useful. Others warn against misusing quantum mechanics. Strange does not mean artificial, and resemblance does not imply construction. Pattern-seeking minds are easily misled. If reality is simulated, the simulation may be deliberately sealed. Any evidence could itself be part of the simulation. That creates a fundamental limitation. Proof may be impossible by design. This does not make the idea true, but it makes it uniquely difficult to dismiss. It exists between physics and philosophy, not falsified, but not confirmed. A thought experiment that refuses to go away. If we are simulated, are our lives less meaningful? Does free will still exist? Does suffering still matter? Most philosophers argue yes. Experience is experience regardless of origin. Pain still hurts. Joy still matters. Meaning is not erased by explanation. If anything, responsibility increases, because creating conscious beings would carry moral weight. Humanity is now building its own simulations. Virtual worlds are growing more detailed. Artificial intelligence is becoming more autonomous. Digital environments persist without human input. We are not close to simulating reality, but we are moving in that direction. And that makes the hypothesis harder to ignore, because it no longer feels abstract. It feels like a future someone else may already have reached. The simulation hypothesis does not claim to be true. It asks whether it is plausible. It forces us to examine assumptions about reality, about observation, about consciousness. And just as important as asking why this idea persists, is asking why it may still be wrong. If reality is base, it is still extraordinary. If reality is simulated, it is no less real to those inside it. Either way, existence remains mysterious. The stars still burn, consciousness still wonders, and questions still matter. Perhaps the most important insight is not the answer, but the humility that comes from asking. Whether simulated or not, this universe is the only one we experience, and that alone makes it real enough. Join us every Sunday for in-depth stories, thought-provoking questions, and extended explorations that delve beyond the short videos. Because knowledge doesn't stop at 60 seconds.
Thanks for watching. This is 60-second knowledge now extended, because curiosity doesn't stop at 60 seconds. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok.